There comes a time in every awakened soul's journey when life suddenly stops making sense. Everything that once felt solid, your beliefs, your ambitions, even your sense of self, begins to dissolve into confusion. You lose your drive, your joy, and your clarity, and what replaces them is a haunting silence. This silence isn't emptiness, it's a transformation. Carl Jung called this stage the dark night of the soul, a sacred period when your old self dies so your higher self can emerge. Most people mistake it for depression, failure, or burnout, but it's none of those. It's the most profound spiritual cleansing you will ever experience. In this video, we'll explore the 7 hidden signs that reveal you have entered this dark, yet divine passage of awakening. And once you understand them, you'll never fear your darkness again. Sign 1. The collapse of meaning. It begins with a collapse not of the world around you, but of the meaning you once gave it, things that used to excite you. Career goals, social validation, even relationships start to feel painfully hollow. You wake up with a question echoing in your chest. What's the point of all this? It's not that you've lost interest in life. You've simply outgrown the shallow version of it. Carl Jung wrote that the first stage of transformation is the confrontation with the shadow. It's the realization that everything you've built, your ego designed your identity on, and the ego is beginning to lose control. You feel detached, lost, almost like a stranger to yourself. But this is not regression. It's extraction. Life is pulling you out of illusions that no longer serve you. The job you once thought defined you. The people who validated your worth. The habits that numbed your truth. They all start to fall away, and as painful as it feels, this emptiness is the space your soul needs to rebuild its foundation, not on appearance, but on authenticity. Sign 2. The disintegration of identity. The second hidden sign is the disintegration of who you think you are, your old identity. The you that fit neatly into labels and roles begins to dissolve. You may feel like your personality is breaking apart, like your confidence is slipping, like your desires are fading into smoke. You're not crazy. You're shedding your conditioning. Jung believed that the psyche, when it's ready to evolve, forces the old personality to collapse so the true self can finally emerge. This collapse can feel terrifying because it attacks everything the ego clings to: control, validation, and definition. You might find yourself saying, "I don't know who I am anymore." That confusion is the doorway. It's the universe stripping away the versions of you that were built on survival, not truth. The people-pleaser you is dying. The overachiever you is dissolving. The performer you are fading. What's left is a raw, unfiltered consciousness, the real you, beyond names, beyond achievements, beyond masks. And until you face this inner death, you can't experience the true birth of your authentic self. Jung wrote, "Man cannot stand a meaningless life. If he cannot find meaning, he will invent it." But during the dark night, you stop inventing meaning and start discovering it. Sign 3. The silence between you and the world. At some point, the noise begins to fade. The social chatter that once filled your days now feels unbearable. You start craving silence, not just external quiet, but a deep stillness that disconnects you from everything familiar. Conversations feel empty. Crowds exhaust you. Even the people you love most suddenly seem distant, as though they belong to a reality you no longer live in. This is not isolation. This is a withdrawal for purification. Jung explained that when the psyche begins to heal, it turns inward away from the collective noise to reconnect with the archetypal truth buried in the unconscious. You may start spending more time alone, not out of sadness, but because solitude feels sacred. You need space to listen to the quiet, to your intuition, to the faint voice inside that's been silenced for years. In this silence, you'll notice that life begins to speak differently. You start sensing messages in coincidences, in dreams, in nature, in small intuitive nudges. It's not that the universe suddenly got louder, it's that you finally got quiet enough to hear it. So if you find yourself retreating from society, don't mistake that as regression. It's a sign that your soul is reconnecting to the frequency of truth. Sign 4. The emotional purge. Then comes the storm. Every emotion you've ever buried, anger, grief, guilt, shame, fear, begins to surface without warning. You cry for no reason. You wake up anxious. Old wounds you thought you had healed begin to reopen. This emotional chaos is not punishment. It's purification. Jung compared this stage to alchemy. The soul must burn away its impurities before it can reveal the gold hidden beneath. When you enter the dark night, your emotional body becomes the furnace of transformation. Everything unhealed from your past begins to demand your attention, not to break you, but to set you free. You might relive childhood pain, remember betrayals, and feel waves of sadness that make no logical sense. But emotions are not logical. They are a language. They are the body's way of saying, "I'm ready to release." Most people resist this stage. They run to distractions, to numbness, to denial. But if you can sit through the fire, if you can let the emotions wash through you without judgment, you'll notice something miraculous. After every wave of pain comes peace. After every release comes relief. And that peace is your soul reclaiming its space. Though dark night doesn't destroy you, it purifies you. Sign 5. The breakdown of control. Perhaps the most frightening part of the dark night is the loss of control. Your plans stop working. Your routines crumble. Everything that used to give you a sense of direction suddenly feels meaningless or blocked. It's like the universe has pressed pause on everything that used to define your life. This is the moment where most people panic, because the ego thrives on control. And now, control has been taken away. But Jung warned that what you call chaos, it is often just the soul reorganizing your reality. When your consciousness begins to expand, life removes everything that doesn't align with your new frequency. You lose jobs, people, plans, not as punishment, but as preparation. The night forces you to surrender, to stop fighting life and start trusting it. At first, this surrender feels like death. Your mind screams, "I'm losing everything." But in truth, you're losing only the illusions. You're being taught that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. Once you learn to let go, life begins to flow again, but this time, through you, not against you. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." And this is the essence of the 5th sign, letting go of resistance so transformation can finally happen. Sign 6. Your old desires start to die. You begin noticing something strange. The things that once used to excite you, parties, gossip, status, even your dreams of success, now feel empty. It's not that you've become lazy or emotionless. It's that your soul has outgrown them. Carl Jung called this process the death of the persona. The mask you wore for the world, the one built from other people's expectations, starts to crumble. You no longer want to impress. You want to feel real. This can be terrifying because when old desires die, it feels like you are dying with them. But this, Jung said, is the necessary death. The death before rebirth. You're not losing interest in life. You're losing interest in the illusions that once distracted you from yourself. And though it feels lonely, you're not breaking down, you're breaking open. Sign 7. The return of inner light. After months, maybe years of confusion, something quietly shifts. Not dramatically. Not with fireworks, but gently, like the first light of dawn after a long storm. You begin to feel moments of peace, even gratitude for the pain you endured. You start to see that everything, the loss, the emptiness, the despair, was guiding you toward this clarity. Carl Jung described it as the emergence of the self, the moment when the fragmented pieces of your being reunite, forming something whole, something real. You realize the dark night was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to disarm you, to take away everything false, so your authentic essence could emerge. That is the true purpose of the darkness, not punishment, but purification. The rebirth. You wake up one morning and feel different. The world hasn't changed, but your vision has color seem richer. Silence no longer feels empty. You begin to breathe again. Deeply, freely, you stop searching for meaning because you've become it. You no longer chase light because you've discovered it inside you. The dark night of the soul was never ending. It was an initiation, a passage through which your old self had to die for the true you to be born. This is the stage Jung called individuation, the sacred union between your shadow and your light, the moment when you stop running from yourself and finally return home. If you're going through your own dark night, don't rush it, don't fight it, don't numb it with distractions. Sit with it. Listen. Let it teach you. Because one day, when the storm finally calms, you'll look back and realize the night wasn't trying to destroy you, it was trying to wake you. You will rise again. Not as the person you once were, but as someone who knows who they are. Someone who has touched their own soul and returned with light in their eyes. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your awakening. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung subscribed for more reflections on the hidden journey of the soul, because wisdom isn't found in light, it's forged in the dark.